I never meant to stay this late. Her kitchen clock ticked like a metronome above the stove, and the smell of garlic and rosemary floated in the warm air. I told myself I was only dropping off the groceries she'd asked me to pick up. 10 minutes, I'd said. Then go. But here I was, sleeves rolled, knife in hand, slicing tomatoes at her counter, as if I belonged there. She stood opposite me, hair pinned loosely, a few strands falling against her cheek. 40-something, divorced, the kind of woman who'd lived enough to carry silence like a shawl. I'd met her through a neighborhood book club she hosted. Somehow, I'd kept showing up even after the meetings drifted apart. Tonight wasn't a meeting. Tonight was just me and her, and a recipe she swore she'd teach me. You cut them thinner, she said, voice soft but sure. She didn't reach for the knife, just watched, arms crossed loosely. Her bracelets clinked once, then went still. I'm trying, I said, laughing a little too loudly. The knife wobbled. You're making me nervous. Her mouth twitched, almost a smile, almost something else. I don't bite, she murmured. The room felt smaller. Not uncomfortable, just aware. The overhead light was dim, casting our shadows long across the counter. Outside, dusk pressed against the window, rain sliding down in uneven streaks. It smelled like wet pavement, and bread warming in the oven. I tried to focus on the food, but my eyes kept flicking to her hands. The way she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, the way her thumb traced the rim of a wineglass she wasn't drinking from. She didn't look at me directly for more than a heartbeat at a time, yet each glance felt like a question she wasn't asking. You're quiet tonight, I said. Did I do something? She shook her head slowly. No. Just, long day. Then, after a beat, you're kind to help. I shrugged, but my chest tightened. It's nothing. It's not nothing, she said softer now. Most people wouldn't bother. The knife slipped slightly, nicking the edge of a tomato. Before I could steady it, her hand moved, not to take the blade, but to steady mine. Fingers brushed the back of my knuckles, light as a whisper. It lasted a second, maybe less, yet everything inside me paused. Her touch was cool from the running tap water, and my skin felt hot beneath it. She pulled back first, clearing her throat. Sorry, she said, turning to the sink though there was nothing there to rinse. Habit. I wanted to answer, to joke, to say anything, but my mouth stayed dry. The kitchen's hum grew louder, oven fan, dripping faucet, rain on the glass. It felt like we were both standing on the edge of something unnamed. She reached for the bottle of olive oil, but her hand trembled, just slightly. Could you? She began, but stopped, biting her lip. Then she exhaled, a sound halfway between a sigh and a laugh. Never mind. I set the knife down. Tell me, I said. Whatever it is. Her eyes flicked to mine, then away. In the pause that followed, my phone buzzed on the counter, a message lighting the screen. I glanced at it, saw her name flash across the top. Don't read this now. I looked up. She was watching me, her hands still, waiting. And the kitchen felt very, very quiet. Her message still glowed on my phone. Don't read this now. I turned the screen face down, but the weight of it stayed in my palm. She had typed those words while standing 3 feet away from me. She moved around the kitchen with practiced grace, but I could see the strain behind it. A small stiffness in her shoulders, the way she pressed her lips together before speaking. I wasn't sure you'd come tonight, she said finally, still facing the stove. You asked? I said. I wanted to. She gave a short laugh. You're too young to keep showing up for someone like me. The way she said someone like me landed heavy. She told me bits before, the divorce 2 years ago, the house she fought to keep, the adult son who barely visited. But tonight there was a new edge, as if she were warning herself more than me. I don't mind, I said. You've been good to me. I mean with the job stuff. Advice. She turned then, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Advice isn't the same as. She stopped, eyes catching mine, and shook her head. Never mind. I thought about my own half-truths. The job I'd just left, the girlfriend I'd broken up with because I couldn't explain why I felt drawn to this quiet kitchen every week. I hadn't told her any of that. I wasn't sure if it was fair to. You're worried what people would think, I said, trying for a smile. She set the towel down carefully. I'm worried about more than that. Your mother would think I've lost my mind. My son would. She trailed off, swallowing. Ah. There it was. Her son. My old college roommate. The reason I'd met her at all. I leaned back against the counter, palms flat on the cool tile. We're just making dinner, I said softly. She gave me a look, half weary, half something else, that made the words feel flimsy. We're not just anything, she murmured. Rain hit harder against the window, a steady hiss. The oven beeped, but neither of us moved. I watched her reach for a pan, saw her hand hesitate mid-air. She exhaled, set the pan down, and instead picked up a small framed photo from the counter, her and her son at some beach, wind in their hair. She held it a second too long before placing it face down. I didn't plan for this, she said quietly. Me either, I answered. Our eyes met again. For a moment the kitchen was only rain and our breathing. She stepped closer under the pretext of reaching for the olive oil behind me. As she did, her sleeve brushed my arm, a small, deliberate movement, not an accident this time. Neither of us moved away. The kitchen timer went off like an alarm, jolting both of us. She stepped back first, palms flat on the counter, eyes fixed on the oven door as if the sound had snapped a spell. You should go before it gets late, she said quickly. I can help clean up, no. Sharper now, but then she caught herself. I just need a minute. I wiped my hands on a paper towel, my heart still beating too fast. Her sleeve brushing mine had been nothing, yet it had felt like everything. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't a warning text. It was a name I hadn't seen in months, Ryan. Her son. You at Mom's? I shoved the phone back into my pocket before she could see. She pulled the casserole from the oven, set it on a trivet, and muttered, Too hot, though she hadn't touched it with bare hands. Her cheeks were flushed from the heat or something else. You're shaking, I said without thinking. I'm fine, she replied, but her voice cracked on the word. We can't keep. A knock at the front door cut her off. We both froze. Rain still hissed outside, but the sound of knuckles on wood was louder. Who's that? I whispered. She didn't answer, just wiped her palms on her jeans and went toward the hallway. I heard the door creak, muffled voices. Then a man's laugh, not angry, just surprised. I stayed in the kitchen, every muscle tight. Come in, it's raining, she said from the foyer. Her tone was polite, forced. Footsteps. A tall figure appeared in the doorway, water dripping from his jacket. Ryan. Same messy hair, same crooked grin I remembered from college. Hey, he said, eyebrows lifting when he saw me. I thought you were out of town. Change of plans? I said, forcing a smile. Helping your mom with dinner. He glanced between us, his grin dimming. Right. She busied herself at the counter, pretending to arrange plates. We're almost done here, she said too brightly. You're welcome to join. Ryan stepped further into the kitchen, water pooling on the tile. Didn't know you two were, hanging out. I couldn't read his tone. Curious? Suspicious? Just awkward? I needed help carrying groceries, she said quickly. That's all. I nodded, but my throat felt dry. The lie hung in the air like steam. Ryan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, muttered something about a call he had to take, and stepped back into the hallway. As soon as he disappeared, she sagged against the counter, fingers gripping the edge. "That can't happen again," she whispered. "What can't?" I asked, moving closer without thinking. She looked up at me, eyes wide, vulnerable. "This. Us. All of it." But she didn't step away when my hand brushed hers. Rain hammered the windows like fingertips on glass, and the kitchen lights seemed dimmer than before. Ryan had left after a quick phone call, muttering about errands. His jacket still dripped on the coat rack, proof he'd be back soon. She stood at the sink, back to me, hands gripping the counter. Her shoulders trembled once, then went still. "You should leave before he comes back," she said quietly. I stayed where I was. "I don't want to." She turned halfway, eyes flashing, not anger, but something rawer. "You don't understand what this would do to him." "I do," I said. "He's my friend." "I know." "But—" I stopped, fingers tightening on the chair back. "But I can't keep pretending I don't feel anything." Her breath caught. For a moment she just stared at me, as if waiting for me to take it back. "You're 23," she whispered. "You have your whole life ahead." She shook her head. "I'm not who you think I am." "You're exactly who I think you are," I said, stepping closer. She pressed her palms to the edge of the counter, as though bracing herself. "You don't know how messy I am," she murmured. "How lonely. How guilty." "I'm messy too," I said. "Maybe that's why." Stop. Her voice cracked. "Don't finish that." Silence filled the room. The oven fan clicked off. The only sound was rain and our uneven breathing. She turned fully now, wiping at her cheek with the back of her hand. "When you touch me—" She stopped, closing her eyes. "I forget everything I'm supposed to remember." I swallowed hard. "And when you pull away, I feel like I'm standing outside my own life." Her lips parted but no sound came. She took a step toward me without seeming to mean to. "I can't," she whispered, but her hand rose anyway, fingers trembling just above my chest, not touching. "If I do this, I'll lose him. I'll lose myself." "Then tell me to leave," I said. "Tell me and I'll go." Her hand hovered, then curled into a fist. "I don't want you to." The confession hung between us, louder than the rain. We stood so close now that I could smell the rosemary from her hands, see the tiny scar near her thumb. My own hands shook. I shoved them into my pockets to keep from reaching out. "Say something," I whispered. She opened her eyes, and for the first time there was no wall in them, only naked fear and want. She drew a sharp breath, as if about to speak, or step into me, when a car door slammed outside. Headlights swept across the window. Her head snapped toward the door. "He's back," she said, voice breaking. We both froze, the moment still burning between us, waiting to be claimed or destroyed. Headlights swept across the kitchen again, then faded. We listened for the door. Nothing. Just rain. She stayed frozen, one hand still hovering near me. Then my phone buzzed. A new message from Ryan. I opened it without thinking. "I know." A cold rush went through me. My thumb hovered over the screen, but I didn't reply. She saw my face pale. "What?" I turned the phone so she could read. Her mouth fell open. "When?" she whispered. "When did he?" Before I could answer, the front door opened. Wet shoes on tile. Ryan's voice. "Mom?" She straightened, smoothing her hair like a reflex. "Kitchen!" she called, but her voice trembled. He appeared in the doorway, calmer than I expected. No grin, no storm. Just a steady, unreadable expression. "I forgot my wallet," he said, eyes flicking between us. "And I wanted to ask you something." "What?" she said too quickly. He set the wallet on the counter and leaned against the doorframe. "How long?" Her knuckles whitened on the counter edge. Ryan, I'm not an idiot, he said quietly. The late nights. The texts. His gaze cut to me. You think I wouldn't notice? I took a step forward. It's not what, stop. He raised a hand, not angry, just tired. I don't need the script. She tried again. Nothing happened. We were just helping with dinner? He finished, a bitter half smile. Her eyes filled, but she blinked hard, refusing tears. Ryan, please, he exhaled, looking down at the tile. I'm not even sure why I'm angry, he said finally. You're both adults. But you're my mother. He's my friend. Do you understand how that feels? Silence. The oven fan hummed again, filling the gap. I forced myself to speak. I should leave. No. Ryan's head snapped up. Don't make it easy. Don't run like you always do. That hit deeper than he knew. I'd left jobs, girlfriends, apartments whenever things felt heavy. He wasn't wrong. She touched the counter for balance. Ryan, she whispered. I never wanted to hurt you. I know. His voice cracked once. That's what makes it worse. We all stood there, 3 points of a triangle no one had drawn on purpose. Rain drummed harder, like applause for a scene we didn't want to play. Finally he stepped back. Do what you want, he said. Just don't lie about it. He grabbed his wallet and walked out, the door closing softly behind him. She sagged into a chair, covering her face. It's over, she murmured. I didn't sit. I couldn't. Is it? I asked. She looked up, eyes red, and for the first time there was no pretense. I don't know, she said. But I can't lose you now. The words hung between us, heavier than any confession yet. The house was almost dark now. Only the oven light glowed, a faint orange pulse against the rain-streaked window. She sat at the kitchen table, elbows on her knees, hair falling forward. I leaned against the counter, my hands gripping the edge until my knuckles whitened. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Ryan's car was gone. The sound of his tires on the wet street had faded minutes ago, but his presence still filled the room. Finally she lifted her head. You should go, she whispered. Do you want me to? I asked. Her mouth opened, closed. I don't know what I want, she said, her voice breaking on the last word. I spent years building a life out of nothing after your friend's father left. And now, she stopped, pressing her palms together as if in prayer. Now I'm here with you. I crossed the kitchen slowly. I never meant to make your life harder. You didn't. Her eyes met mine, clear and wet. You made me remember I was alive. But remembering isn't the same as being free. I crouched beside her chair. Then be free, I said quietly. Right here. She let out a small laugh, shaky and sad. You think it's that easy? No, I said. But it's honest. For a moment she stared at me, as if measuring whether honesty was enough. Then she reached for my hand. Her fingers were cool, trembling slightly, but she didn't let go. When I saw you with Ryan that first night, she said, I thought you were just a kind boy who helped with groceries. I didn't know you'd crawl under my skin. I tried to stop, I admitted. I told myself it was wrong, that it was temporary. But when you brushed my hand that first time, I trailed off, the memory flashing between us. She squeezed my fingers. We can't undo what's happened. No, I said. But we can decide what happens next. The oven fan clicked off again, leaving the room in heavy quiet. She drew a long breath, eyes closing. If we do this, she murmured, we do it in the open. No lies. No hiding. Even if it costs me Ryan for a while. My throat tightened. That's what I want too. Her eyes opened. There was still fear there, but also something steadier. She shifted her chair back and stood, still holding my hand. Then stay, she said. Rain softened outside, a hush instead of a hiss. She was right in front of me now, close enough for me to smell the rosemary and wine on her breath, close enough that a single step would erase the last of the space between us. I started to move. She closed her eyes, waiting. And then the front door clicked again. We both turned, still holding on to each other, as footsteps crossed the hallway. The footsteps in the hallway stopped just short of the kitchen. Ryan's voice drifted in, quieter now. Mom? She let go of my hand but didn't step away. Her eyes searched mine, not for permission, but for courage. I nodded once, a small, steady movement. She turned toward the doorway. We're in here, she called, voice even. Ryan stepped into the kitchen. His hair was damp, his jaw set. He looked at our hands on the table, still close but not touching. No one spoke for a moment. The oven light glowed like an ember between us. Finally she said, I'm not going to lie to you. Her voice trembled but didn't break. You deserve the truth. Ryan's gaze shifted from her to me, then back. Then say it. She took a breath. I care about him, she said simply. More than I plan to. More than I probably should. But I do. The words landed softly but completely. The room felt lighter and heavier at once. Ryan's shoulders sagged a little, as if some tension he'd been carrying cracked. You could have told me sooner, he said. I was afraid, she admitted. He gave a short, bitter laugh that turned into something more like a sigh. I don't get it. But I'm not going to stand here and pretend I can stop you. You're adults. Silence again. Rain ticked softly at the window, almost like applause. I cleared my throat. Ryan, he raised a hand. Don't. Just treat her right. She's been through enough. His voice cracked once, but he didn't wait for an answer. He turned and left, the door shutting gently behind him. When the sound of his car faded, she slumped into a chair, covering her face. He'll hate me, she whispered. I knelt beside her. No, I said quietly. He's hurt. But he knows the truth now. It's the only way forward. She lowered her hands. Her eyes were wet but clear. And us? She asked. Do we even have a future? I don't know, I said honestly. But I know what I want. What? I took her hand, this time without hesitation. I want to stand next to you. Out in the open. Even if it's complicated. She stared at me for a long beat. Then she squeezed my fingers, not a question, but an answer. The kitchen felt different now, same rain, same dim light, but no hiding. She exhaled, shaky but smiling. Then we start here, she said. One step at a time. Outside, the rain eased to a drizzle. We sat together in the kitchen, not sure of the road ahead but no longer pretending it wasn't ours to take. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?